You are listening to Castles and Cryptids, where the castles are haunted and the cryptids are cryptic as fuck. And I'm Alanna.
I'm Kelsey.
And this week is episode 97.
Yeah.
97 and getting back to our roots and doing some castles. Woohoo!
Yeah, it's been a long time.
It really has. I think in the beginning we were told, are you going to do, like, where's all the castles and all the cryptids? It's like, hey, we're
Yeah.
going to do other stuff too.
Yeah, we've done cryptids a number of times. This is,
Mm-hmm.
like our second episode doing castles?
Yeah, to me, the castles always represented all the
Yeah.
haunted places and the history stuff I like.
Yeah, we've done quite a
And
bit of that,
yeah,
so.
yeah. But there you go. That's what we do.
Mhm.
We almost made it to 100. So if you're here, maybe you like it.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah, I'm excited. I of course went to Scotland with mine. Are we surprised?
No, I'm not surprised at all.
There was a bit of a theme with that this month. We did a lot of Celtic stuff. We were in
Yeah, we did.
Ireland, Scotland. We were in
Yeah.
Sweden too. We're in some cold places, some northern hemisphere.
Yeah.
We know what it's like in those kind of places. It can be cold here, but it's not all the time. And I kind of hate it when people are just like, they hear Canada and they're like, it's just cold there. Then that's the only thing they have to say about it. And you're like, have you even been here?
Yeah.
Not super cold everywhere.
No, and we can get pretty hot, especially
Oh
the
yeah,
last few years in the summer. So,
that's true. And humid.
yeah.
Y'all, we're just above Montana. Like we're basically have their weather.
Yeah, very similar.
It's very similar. And the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Um
Oh, yeah.
so I started reading this book I got from the library. I'm also reading the book you got me,
Ah,
The Office BFFs, because it's a coffee table book, and I'm gonna read that one at home, and
yeah.
then haul a regular book to the office and whatnot. I'm not gonna take that big one and like
Yeah, it's kind of
get
an
it all
awkward
dirty.
shape.
It's
Yeah.
too big. It's a coffee table size.
Yeah.
So then I dropped off my other book that I finished reading, which is this pretty good fantasy series by Jennifer Armentrout, which is kind of a funny last name, but she has a bunch of fantasy novels, and there's Atlanteans and different races, and it's cool. It's cool. There's like
Nice.
kind of like werewolves, but they call them wolven, and then there's like gods and stuff, and yeah, I've been kind of into it. It was recommended by my friend Chris at work, who started listening to the pod from the beginning, so
Shout
maybe
out.
she'll be here someday. um but anyway, and then I'm reading this one that I'm reading now is called it's from the nonfiction section. It's called Drunk, how we stumbled and staggered our way into civilization, something like that.
I mean, yeah.
It's rather interesting so far. Just in the intro and like the first chapter I read, I was like privy to um talk about how we humans do things that don't benefit our evolution, like we masturbate and eat Twinkies and drink. He says like all all almost in a row, and I'm like, yes, don't at me about the Twinkies. I like all of these things. No, but and then he's like talking about how like why, but why have we evolved to do this if it's like not good for us and stuff like that, in general. And then
Yeah.
he's like talking about fruit flies and how they've done tests where they give them like food that's laced with almost like how the animals can get fermented fruit in the wild. Like it's
Oh, yeah.
food that's laced with alcohol. It's alcoholic. It's like a strong wine, some of it, they said. And so the fruit flies are like, you know, they're zigzagging, they're not flying real well. They're they're all over the place. And then if they can't get a mate as easily, then they just eat and drink more. Like they're like these depressed little fruit flies that
Aw.
can't get laid, so then they just like go back to the bottle. It's really it's really interesting so far.
That's wild. I wouldn't have even thought of that, but that's what a lot of people do. Like,
Right. They're like doing these experiments and oh
I just would love to be the person that occupation is getting fruit flies drunk.
yes. I don't know. It's yeah. How are they testing what the alcohol content
Right?
is? I don't know, but it is fascinating. The tests
Cool.
that we do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what I'm going to be learning up on.
Right?
Oh, libraries are fun. You can pick up books that you might not otherwise
Yeah, it's
like
great.
pay for. Yeah, like I went through a whole phase as a younger kid when I was like, I want to read all these books on World War II and stuff. I'm
Mm-hmm.
fascinated with this. And then you just, yeah, find everything. They have a true crime section. Um,
Yeah.
Even that's a little branch, but I did get one that's about something bad in Nova Scotia, possibly residential school related, which are a stain on Canada's history. We haven't talked about
Yeah.
those, but they were not great places where Native children were taken. Like all the
Yeah.
First Nations, Indigenous kids were. It was not good. Yeah,
No.
they called it a cultural genocide. So we're not
That I
proud of
believe.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. She talked about it on the Crime Diner, which I've been listening to. So I was like,
Mm-hmm.
wow, good for you for like an American to take on. It's a heavy subject, so I was
Yeah.
I was impressed. So it's cute though. Sometimes they try so hard and they still get things wrong. Like I say, where they'll be like, it's a Providence or this the whole upper top of Canada is the Northwest Territories, and you're like, well, close, but
Yeah.
it's confusing. We mostly have provinces, but then we have the territories. So I get why they just, are it's not just like states where they have one thing and it's all states. It's a little
But there's
confusing.
other countries that have provinces too.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
But like I always forget what they're called in like Australia. So like I kind of get it. But
yeah.
also we don't have as many as the states and we know a lot of
Yeah.
their states. So it's just kind of funny how American culture bleeds into the TV in the world and
Yeah.
oh, we know where all your shit is. No. Just kidding.
Especially since so many American TV shows are filmed in Canada.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like,
You
geez.
watched The Last of Us, you saw
Yeah.
Edmonton and Calgary. um which we've watched it now. It's pretty good.
I have not watched it yet. Uh, I was waiting until it ended to start watching it so you could
Oh,
just watch like
yeah.
whenever I wanted. So I'll probably be watching it within the next little bit.
Do it.
I know lots of spoilers, so
Oh,
I know a bunch of what happens already.
I think yeah, before we had started watching it, everybody was talking about it at not like in detail, but when we went to play D&D and then
Mm.
especially because one of the girls that is on Critical Role is in The Last of Us because she was a voice actor in the original video game, Ashley Johnson.
Oh yeah.
So she plays D&D with the Critical Role people. But yeah, Pedro Pascal, oh yeah. And before I had even watched it, I think I'd heard on some podcast or whatever that like episode 3 was going to be sad. I'm like, I'm already getting these vague
Yeah.
spoilers, but whatever. Yeah, it's good. You you know, Good actor. Anna Torv, of course,
I
we
know, I
like
was
her
just
from
gonna
The
say she's in
Fringe.
it. Yeah. And I love Pedro Pascal, so
Yeah, him and Bella Ramsey, freaking Game of Thrones alumni.
right?
Yeah.
Both killed off like too soon.
Mm-hmm. He's done a lot
Yeah.
of shit because then um he also was in Narcos or whatever, which I didn't see.
Yeah, I never watched that.
Supposed to be good.
Yeah.
And The Mandalorian, this is the way.
Yeah, I love The Mandalorian. I'm waiting for the new season to finish just like I said with that so I can
Oh
watch it
no!
all. So, I don't know,
She's leaving herself behind.
I don't really like waiting week to week for a show when I have a bunch of shows that I'm doing like watching one episode a week. I feel like I just lose interest in them more.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're kind of spoiled for choice now that there is streaming. So it's like
Yeah.
you kind of like, you're like, well, I have the choice of watching some things all at once. Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, we hope you guys anticipate our weekly episode with bated fucking breath.
Yeah.
I appreciate everybody who rates it. We love you. We love you so much.
Yes. Any what
Yeah.
subscribers and return repeat listeners?
Fuck yeah. We see you.
Yeah.
All right, you gonna tell me a story?
I'm going to tell you a few stories about well, you took a trip to
Death.
Scotland, which I knew you were going to do. So, I stayed
She
away
knew
from
before I chose it. No.
well, no, cuz you said yeah, haunted castles and I was looking up stuff in Scotland. I was like, "Hey, she's doing Scotland."
Yeah, yeah.
So I was like, I'm going to look up different ones in maybe some places you wouldn't really think about having castles.
Yeah,
And
I think I
some of
agree.
these, I guess, are considered castles, but some of them aren't really. But I like one of them for sure is a
Okay.
castle. Uh, but another one, a couple of them are just like huge mansions that kind of became known as
Mm.
castles just for how big they are. And
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
yeah,
they call the Fairmont Banff Springs the Castle of the Rockies.
yeah,
But, you know, it's haunted as fuck, so I'm here for it. It's big,
right?
it's old, it's gonna have some ghosts.
Yeah. I don't have too much about like hauntings for these ones, but they were what two of them were investigated through like Ghost Hunters International and stuff like that. So, I mean places have gone to
Oh,
them, but I didn't find much documented about specifics. So I
the
have a few
spin-off.
for each one. Yeah.
I like Ghost Hunters.
Mhm.
And yes, I've heard that some stuff got played up, but I guess it's reality TV.
Yeah,
Some of
exactly.
it was, yeah, some of it was caught on tape, and you're like, can't really fake that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't look up pronunciations. I realized right before we started recording, I was like, "Damn it!"
I'm taking a drink because you said
Yeah,
that.
take a shot. We need a bingo card of like, and so this is I don't know if it's Himji or Heimji Castle, located in Japan. It's super old.
Japon.
Yeah, and there will be
That's
pictures on the
awesome.
website because these places look beautiful, and I would love to see each one. Like it'd be wild.
Oh my god, yeah.
So this one dates back to 1333. So it's old AF.
Wow.
And
That seems like a
yeah,
lucky number. But maybe
right?
it's Japan, so maybe they did that on purpose.
Could be. It's been renovated a whole bunch of times. It's kind of wild. It's regarded as one of the greatest remaining examples of Japanese castle architecture, and
Oh,
the castle
my
is
favorite.
yeah, the castle is frequently known as the White Egret Castle or the White Huron Castle because of its brilliant white exterior, and it's supposed to have a resemblance to like this white bird taking flight. just kind of like how the
Ooh.
rooftops are swooping, just typical Japanese architecture, but instead of it being a lot of
Yeah.
like black and red and gold, it's basically white and black. So it's like the
Oh, cool.
Huron being white and black.
I'll have to look because now I'm picturing also, you know how the Sydney Opera House is supposed to be sweeping and look like kind of sails?
Oh yeah, no. Sort of.
No, but I know I can picture
Yeah.
the kind of bird you're talking about. Like it's,
Yeah.
kind of like a crane.
Yeah, very similar. It was originally built as a fort on top of the Himayam Himayama Hill in,
Oh.
yeah. And then in 1346, so 13 years after it was built, the fort was actually dismantled and rebuilt as a castle, and then it was remodeled into the castle that it sits at as today, like 200 years later. It's been
Okay.
remodeled a lot. Uh,
I mean, they need some upkeep.
yeah. It was significantly remodeled during this time in 1581, and in the 1600s, the castle was awarded, like, given to a man for his help during one huge battle that happened. He was just gifted the
Oh.
castle, basically.
Well,
And
damn.
yeah, he
That
ended
must have been
up,
some help.
yeah, he was really important in the war, and he later completely rebuilt the castle and did all the stuff to it from about 1601 to 1609 and expanded it into this huge, large castle complex, adding
Mm.
several other buildings as well as additional other buildings that were later added in 1617 and 1618. After this, for the next 700 years, the castle remained mostly intact and ended up surviving quite a few things relatively unscathed. There was
Oh, really?
bombings and multiple natural disasters like an earthquake that occurred
Yeah,
in
they
the
do get
area.
those.
And because it's on top of a hill, like it's very precariously perched there.
Because it looks like
Uh,
a bird. It
yeah,
is. It does look cool.
it's
Yeah, it looks
beautiful.
really
I really
cool.
liked it. Yeah.
I.
Uh,
It's like many like layers of
yes.
eavesdrops or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah, and
that's
all the
cool.
beautiful archways on windows and stuff like that. It's actually very
Hmm.
deceiving, because it looks like, I guess, the floors that you would think between the breaks where like the roofs are and the windows, you think each of those would be a floor, but it's actually inside, it's
Hmm.
built to throw you off, so there's more floors than what actually appears from the
More
outside.
floors. Oh my god.
Yeah, it was a strategic thing to like confuse people in case they invaded.
Was it
But,
designed by MC Escher? There's millions of stairs.
right?
Oh my god.
Uh, so apparently it's so good at surviving these things that this earthquake that happened, there was even a bottle of sake that was placed on an altar at the top floor of the keep in there, like the big tower in the middle, and it
Hmm.
remained in place. It hadn't even fallen off uh,
Oh
the
my
altar.
god.
So that's how big, and this was a huge, devastating earthquake that happened, and like the place didn't even move enough that the bottle fell off the shelf on the top of the keep, which is crazy.
Holy shit. That's some
Mm-hmm.
cliff it's on or whatever. That's
Right?
a rock.
It consists of a network. The whole complex or grounds consists of a network of 83 rooms that include storehouses, gates, corridors, and turrets. The castle itself is mostly constructed with curved walls that are made from stone and wood. There is a picture of the inside. The inside interior looks almost completely wood.
Oh.
And the tallest of the walls inside stand at 85 feet or 26 meters.
That's pretty
And
tall.
yeah, that would be wild. uh, Forget 8-foot ceilings. I want 85-foot ceilings.
Ah.
So hello up there.
You had to
The
get your own weather.
Yeah,
Just
the
like Mount Shasta does. Ooh, Patreon callback.
when I was looking at pictures of it, I think I saw those the lentil bean clouds. I saw the string of clouds around, and then you could see the top peak poking out past, and I was like, those must be the bean clouds.
It's in the beans.
It's in the beans.
Lenticular clouds.
Yeah, that's what it
Such
was.
a fun word.
So weird.
I was like, I don't know what I'm talking about, so I looked it up.
Yeah.
That was really fun. I was going to do a Patreon plug, but that came up just beautifully.
Yeah. Very organically.
It did. It was fun. Go check us out. Oh, we just changed it so you do get charged only on the day you join and not the first of the month. So that you don't have to pay like twice if you join mid-month or something, which people like.
Yeah, because I was complaining about waiting for a podcast so I could join on the first so that I didn't have to pay the total amount for the month for just 7 days
I think
or
I left
something.
that in.
Yeah.
I think I left that in. Or no, maybe we talked about that on Patreon. Now I can't remember.
I think it was on Patreon. And then you're like,
Oh, okay.
ours is set like that. Should I change it? And then I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just came out with it not that long ago.
Yeah.
But you won't be changed, you know, if you're already a first of the month player.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
Yeah, so this whole complex ground covers about 576 acres, so it's pretty big.
Ooh.
And the castle also features some pretty advanced defensive systems that were designed into it, such as rooms filled with hundreds of guns or spears. There's platforms actually on the 3rd and 4th floor at the windows, like the window ledge, that are called stone throwing platforms.
Oh no.
These
Why
allow.
for?
I think it was just a good vantage point from where you could see, because these stone throwing platforms were where defenders could observe or throw things or even pour boiling oil at attackers. So you want to
Okay.
yeah,
like a murder hole is kind of above where they might be coming in.
Yeah, exactly. So they could yeah, and also how the grounds are designed, which we'll get into right away. Also kind
There's
of
a lot
funnels.
of hand motions that you guys are
yeah.
missing.
Well, it funnels people in to like specific areas. So
yeah, so you pick them off one by one.
Yeah. Right? Make everybody go in single file, and that's a lot easier.
Yeah.
There's also small enclosed rooms that are called warrior hiding places that allowed defenders to hide and surprise attack enemies. There was loopholes in these areas, the shape of circles, triangles, squares, and rectangles located throughout the castle, and were intended to allow defenders armed with crossbows or archers to fire through the holes without exposing themselves to fire, like, because they were basically
the
behind
tiny windows.
Yeah. So they're could
called
shoot
loopholes?
I guess so. I was kind of like, ooh, is that how the word loophole
It must
came
be,
about?
because it's like a tiny little thing that, you know, gets through somehow.
Yeah, so they could fire through them, but they're basically, the rest of themselves are covered in stone, so you can't really fire at them back.
Yeah. They're under cover. That's cool.
Yeah. And then the white plaster that's used in the castle's construction, so the beautiful like white color of the plaster outside, was actually chosen for its resistance to fire, because a lot of the inside is wood. All the plaster on the outside is fire resistant, which yeah, it was all well thought out. The complex and grounds also include 3 moats. Like, there's water.
3 moats.
3 moats. One was used for storing water in case of a fire. That's its only purpose, was just water storage.
Interesting.
Yeah. There's also numerous warehouses where backup food and salt supplies were stored. And one of the best defenses is this, which I wish I didn't really find pictures of this other than the gates. There's a few pictures of the gates. But one of the best defenses is the confusing spiral maze of paths and gates that lead to the castle's keep. Um,
Oh.
so while the main entrance, the main gate, uh, to get onto the grounds is only 130 meters away from the main gate to the keep, the path that you have to take in these winding, crazy, think of a hedge maze.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you basically have to take this crazy winding path. The distance that you will take through this path is over 325 meters, even though from like point A to B in a straight line, it's only 130 meters.
Oh
It makes
my
you
god.
walk almost 3 times that.
It's the original, like, a lineup at a theme park where they just
Yeah,
snake you back and forth
it
until
did
you're
say
like,
it goes,
I can see it.
it'll like weave back over the same spot. So then you're like, have I been here before?
Oh.
And there's passageways that are steep, narrow, and even that prevent entry totally, that allowed intruders to be
Oh.
fired upon while approaching the keep. And because you can go to the grounds, I think there's tours and things like that. It said, however, even today, with the route clearly marked, many visitors have trouble navigating the castle complex to like get there for their tour,
Oh.
I guess. So it's like, oh god.
Yeah, you don't know what's hiding around the corner. Things in hedge
Yeah,
mazes. It could be Jack Torrance or Voldemort.
right?
It's not good options.
Or a minotaur. Those are always in head maze,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Um, so there's
Yeah.
many folklore stories about the castle, including Okiku, which is a mythical character from ancient legends who was falsely accused of losing valuable dishes. And
Okay.
it said that
Weird.
yeah,
Random.
she was killed and thrown into the well at the castle, and her ghost is said to haunt the castle at night, where she goes around counting all the dishes in a mournful tone. And for some
Oh
reason, when she
no.
reaches 9, she shrieks and then like scurries back to the well. Like,
When she counts to 9 and then
yeah,
runs.
like 9
Oh.
dishes, she yells and shrieks and then returns to the well. So,
Maybe nine's the bad number. I can't remember from the number
man.
symbol episode.
Um,
That is creepy. And why did they have to kill her? And her name sounds like that creepy doll you talked about too.
yeah, it is, I believe, the exact same name.
Yeah, that with the hair
Yeah.
that never stops growing,
Yeah, that was creepy.
which
Um,
was on our first cursed episode, which is funny because Pat
yeah.
asking me today, "Did you guys do curses yet?" And I was like, "Yeah, we haven't.
Yeah, a long time ago.
not
God.
not in a while, yeah, but we have."
Um, the rest, a lot of this is from Wikipedia, is saying that the castle is said to be inhabited by Okay,
Okay.
Oshakabahi,
Oh
Bahani,
my.
that lives in the castle tower. I don't know what kind of. It just says she. I don't know if this is like.
Oh.
Oh, she takes the form of an old woman in some legends. That's why. It's like they're not describing what she looks like. Um, she lives in the
Oh.
castle tower and avoids humans who she said she hates. She doesn't like people.
Great.
Um,
And she's an old woman sometimes?
an old woman or a woman in her 30s, either version. And
I'm glad they didn't
she
say middle-aged.
she often appears in ceremonial 12-layered kimono. That sounds
Oh.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Uh, it said that she can read human minds and can control lesser animals, so small animals.
Damn.
There's a folklore story also associated with Sakuri Genbei, who was one of the previous owners who like did a whole bunch of renovations on the castle.
Mm-hmm.
Sakuri was his master carpenter in the construction of the keep. He's the one that built the keep. Um,
Oh.
and according to the legend, Sakuri was dissatisfied with his construction, like the carpenter was. And it said that feeling that the keep leaned a little to the southeast, eventually he became distraught and climbed to the top of the keep, where he jumped to his death with a chisel in his mouth. which sounds terrible. I
In his
mean,
mouth?
yeah. It didn't even say that the guy
Sorry.
that owned the castle was dissatisfied with his work, but it said that he was, and then he supposedly jumps to his death.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to speak like I know about it, but I guess the way they had a traditional sort of suicide for samurais, like if you
Yeah.
felt you were dishonorable at one
Yeah.
time, I believe it was seen as better to save your family, the shame of having you or whatever. It's just like,
Yeah.
oh, that's so sad. Anyway.
Um, yeah, I've heard of that before. Um, oh, the next one. What is this? What? Put up for auction. Oh, this is about who, like, I guess who's owned it. Um, when the Han feudal system was abolished in 1871, Himji Castle was put up for auction, actually. And this just shocked me because the castle was purchased by a Himji resident for 23 Japanese yen, which is about 200,000 yen or $2,258 American today. Can I go back?
2000. Okay.
Can I? $2,000, basically $2,300 American today. You could have bought this castle 150 years ago.
Damn.
It's like, fuck.
I could have made that happen at some
Right?
point.
I was like, damn it. I was like, that is insane. And it said that the buyer wanted to demolish the castle complex and develop the land, but the cost of actually destroying the castle was estimated to be too great, and so the castle remained. That's basically the only reason it's there today, is because it would cost too much to destroy
Oh,
it at that point, which
to
makes me sad.
destroy it.
Yeah.
Damn.
Um, the Himji Castle is the largest and most visited castle in Japan. It was registered in 1993 as one of the first UNESCO World Heritage Sites in the country. Not in the world, but in the
Okay.
country.
That's
Uh,
pretty cool.
yeah, it's just a beautiful place, I think. And in order to preserve the castle buildings, it underwent some restoration work for several years and then reopened to the public in 2015. Uh, the work that they did also removed decades of dirt and grime, restoring the formerly gray roof to its original brilliant white color. And it was. And then I have no space, but just the next sentence is it was featured in the James Bond movie You Only Live Twice. So I guess I need to watch that movie because I want to see more of the castle. It's really hard. There's
Yeah,
basically
yeah.
aerial pictures of it and then kind of model replicas of what the different floors look like of the keep, and that's about it. Like,
Oh, that's kind of
there's
weird.
hardly any pictures of it. So, yeah, I was like, maybe I need to watch this movie so I can see what more of it looks like.
Yeah, it's one of
Uh,
those old ones that, well, not like
yeah.
super. I don't remember. There's James Bond has gone on forever.
Yeah, it's
That
been
could
around
be a
for quite a while.
Roger. Yeah, that could be a Roger
Roger
Moore
Moore.
one, or maybe it's Sean Connery. I don't
Yeah, I don't think it's Daniel Craig.
know. No. Or freaking
Uh,
the guy that plays Jamie either, although some people would like him to be.
yeah, I don't know who they're gonna pick.
Yeah.
It's
Hmm.
I don't think I've seen any of the Bond movies, but they are on my list. Like I do eventually want to see them,
Really?
but yeah, they're good like action movies.
Yeah. Well, I really liked Austin Powers, so I think I kind of wanted to see what some of them were, what it was modeled, like what it's parodying.
Yeah.
So I've seen a few of them for sure.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
The next place is Larnac Castle, and this is located in New Zealand. Uh, Also very beautiful. Uh, it
Okay.
basically most of it looks like it's two floors. It has a really grand stone cement looking staircase going up to the front door that's lined with castle or lined with um like lion statues all the way up the stairs. and
Oh
a
my
whole lot
gosh.
of windows, like tens of thousands of windows everywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
It's definitely an interesting architecture.
Yeah.
It's
A lot of trees because it's New
almost like
Zealand.
half castle, half mansion because it kind of looks like big porches
Yeah.
on the front. And
This,
then those lions, I can see the lions, but and that always makes me think like Las Vegas casino, but it's not quite
yes.
that gaudy.
Um, this is one of the ones that was like more of a mansion kind of thing that now they
Mm.
classify as a castle. Um,
Okay. Cracking it.
so it was built as a mock castle, actually, um,
Okay.
between 1871 and 1887. So it took 16 years to build. And
Why did they want a mock castle?
I don't even
Like
know.
they wanted their
Like,
house to just kind of look like a castle
I
kind of
think
thing?
so. But it's still
Uh.
really big. It's still really big.
Yeah.
It was the residence of William Larnack, who was a prominent local politician, and it was one of the few houses, or it is still today, one of the few houses of this scale and size in New Zealand. So it's just monstrous. And it was completed by approximately 200 workers for the main structures, using imported materials from around the world. Just crazy. It was like, of course, Italian marble and all that shit. Uh,
That's
and
funny.
with intricate ceilings carved by the Godfrey family, which probably means something. But it said that a single ceiling in the main foyer of the house took 6.5 years to complete. Like, fucking
Oh
intricate
dear.
ceilings. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. What are they painting it like the Sistine Chapel? I can't say that.
Well, these were carved, not like painted. They're carved ceilings.
Oh my lord.
Like, yeah, so they're like fucking chiseling shit into the ceiling. Um,
Yeah. That's
and
crazy. I feel like you're not gonna get a lot of that in New Zealand. Like not a lot of
no, yeah,
McMansions and not a lot of
yeah,
super old like family
yeah.
manners. I
In
don't know.
1875, there was 20 tons of glass that was imported from Venice that was used to enclose the exposed verandas that were unsuitable for New Zealand winters. So I think that's why it
Ooh.
has all the glass around the outside, is because they probably built it as like crazy porches and stuff like that. And then they're like, first winter, we're like, oh fuck, like,
We need to put the oh, we used to put on the extra like storm windows. That's what we
yeah,
called it. It was like then it was the extra window pane.
yeah.
It's like, oh my god.
The castle also boasts a 3,000 square foot ballroom, which Larnack had built as a 21st birthday present for his favorite daughter, Kate. I know,
Ouch.
right?
What does
Yeah,
other daughter say?
I have no names for any of the other family members, so sorry.
Just Kate. That's just so
Just Kate,
random.
his favorite daughter, who later died of typhoid at just 26 years old. So just 5 years later.
Ooh.
Her ghost is also said to haunt this ballroom.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh no.
So once all the construction was completed, the resulting castle eventually contained 43 rooms and required 46 servants. The grounds,
Oh, okay.
right?
Sort of one for each room.
Yeah, 1.15 or something per
Oh my
room.
lord. Way
Something
more
like
than
that.
people in the actual
Yeah.
house.
Uh, the grounds were about 35 acres and included a vinery, not a winery, but a vinery. Uh, a
Oh.
home, yeah, a home
Oh.
farm that consisted of 300 acres with a farmstead that had 300 cows and had stables and quarters for these like farm workers to live in. So, pretty wild.
I mean,
Yeah.
like gotta have your servants close at hand. Jeez.
Yeah. And 300 cows. Uh,
Sure, why not?
the building, or called the camp, by Larnac was actually declared by a castle, or declared as a castle by the local press in 1874, just a few days after the family finally moved in. Um, so they didn't really consider it a castle, but the press started calling it a castle
Oh, I
um,
mean,
quickly. Yeah, it is very
called.
castle-like. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, After many years of personal and financial setbacks, Larnac ended up killing himself in New Zealand's Parliament buildings in October of 1898. Uh,
Uh,
yeah,
so
not
the
at the castle.
but the guy who lived there or the guy who built it?
The guy who lived there.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, so he had some personal and then financial setbacks. So he ends up killing himself at New Zealand's Parliament building, which is pretty crazy. So
Yeah,
maybe
that
he's
seems
haunting that.
dramatic.
Yeah, maybe he's haunting there instead of the castle.
Did he
Although there,
work there?
yeah, he was a
Oh,
local politician.
okay.
Yeah.
Damn. That's
Uh,
dark.
so after he had killed himself, there was a whole bunch of legal battles over the will. Um, I assume they had a bunch of money and the house and all that stuff. So the family really started fighting over it, and ended up being that the family sold the house slash castle in 1906. Um,
Sometimes you gotta sell a castle. You
yeah,
can't afford the rent, the upkeep.
yeah. Well, so much upkeep, I can't imagine.
Yeah.
Um,
You keep
and
those like white exteriors.
yeah,
Oh.
since 1967, the castle has actually been privately owned by the Barker family, where it they opened it as a tourist attraction as New Zealand's only castle. And the
Bob
castle as
Barker?
yeah,
Sorry.
I don't
Had
know.
to.
I don't think so. The castle and grounds are open daily to the public, and the castle gardens are one of only 5 gardens nationwide that have been in the rating of Gardens of International Significance by the New Zealand Gardens Trust. So, must be some beautiful gardens. Like,
Significant.
yeah. In 2018, Larnac Castle was designated a New Zealand landmark by Heritage New Zealand. Um, the only other haunting thing I really have, other than along with Kate being in the ballroom, there's also multiple sightings of the ghost of a bearded Victorian man, which people say is possibly Larnac himself. And
Okay.
yeah, so he's hanging around, it seems. There's also unexplained smell of some cigar smoke and port that's kind of comes up in unoccupied rooms. Like nobody will be in there and you'll just start smelling cigar smoke. Uh,
Okay. And he
yeah.
was a fan of the cigars.
I assume so. It seems like rich people just are. You become rich and you just like love cigars all of a sudden.
Right.
Um, yeah, and silk robes and yelling at people. Uh, so visitors and workers at the castle report feelings that they're suddenly being pushed from behind. Like,
Ooh,
yeah.
don't like that.
Um, and as well, this location has been featured on various TV programs, but it didn't really name any of them specifically. So I don't know.
Crazy. Well, the views around it are pretty stunning.
Yeah, it looks very tropical because there's so many different trees and
Yeah.
plants around it. Uh,
Very green, very lush.
yeah,
There's hills, they might be rolling. It's up
yeah.
very high from this second picture that I finally looked at.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a
Crazy.
very tall place. Um, but yeah, it just looks beautiful. I'm like, I would love to tour around there. That'd be fun.
And where is this one
Um,
again?
that is in New Zealand.
Oh, right, right, right. The
Yeah,
green, the green.
yeah, that's why.
My goldfish memory.
The land of Lord of the Rings, New Zealand.
That's right. It's in the Shire.
Mhm.
Just yeah, just in Middle Earth over there.
Right? And
I've
my
got a Shire in mine.
Ooh. um my last place is Hauska, Hauska Castle in the Czech Republic.
Ooh,
This
I
place is
love the
kind of
Czech Republic.
interesting. I chose originally to do it first, and I was like, ooh, I'm gonna save it for last because it's kind of different. It's located about an
Ooh,
hour north of Prague, which I've been told I have to visit because of architecture. Uh,
yeah.
it's supposed
Don't
to be
they have
so beautiful.
architecture made of bones in various places in Czech
And
Republic
they have
or
all these
bars or
crazy
something?
statues and stuff everywhere too.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah, so this is supposed to be about an hour north of Prague, in a municipality of Blacky, in the Liberec region of the Czech Republic. And the
Ooh.
Hauska castle sits surrounded by trees. Kind of looks unassuming. It looks like it could be a little pub or something. And it's one of the best preserved castles of the period, with prominent Gothic chapel. There's a green chamber and late Gothic paintings inside, as well as a knight's drawing room. It's got some like
Oh.
stuff going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. The castle itself was built in the second half of the 13th century to serve as an administration center from which the other royal estates could be managed. So it wasn't designed to be a house. It was never designed for somebody to live there. It's basically this administration center where the other royal castles could be like
Oh.
governed from, basically. Um,
It kind of looks like a bit of a fortress. Like it's a
yeah,
kind of strong looking, a little bit boxy.
yeah, very boxy. Not a lot of like
Yeah.
spiffy looking stuff on it. It's kind of just like to the point. Uh,
Yeah, there ain't no turrets or
yeah, it's just like stone
anything
walls and
like
square.
spires coming up.
Yeah.
All
Uh,
right.
Ownership passed around from family to family, and it underwent a few renovations. During World War II, the Nazis actually occupied the castle until 1945, where they were said to have conducted experiments into the occult.
What?
There's kind of a reason I feel like they may have conducted experiments into the occult at this specific location. Because the
Oh.
Hauska castle is a bit different. It has no fortifications, no kitchen, and nobody ever lived in it after it was built. But, yeah, it does, however, have something that no other castle in the world has, which is a large and rumored bottomless hole in the ground in the basement of it. And,
Oh.
yeah, this
It does look
hole,
like the kind of place that could have a bottomless hole. I was like,
right?
where even is this? In the middle of the woods. You can't tell
Yeah, it's fucking
where the
creepy.
ground is in front. I was like, this is creepy looking.
Yeah, so this like gaping large bottomless hole in the ground in the basement is considered to be a gateway directly to hell. And
Oh, good.
the castle itself was built over the hole for the purpose of sealing the hole and acting as a gateway to keep demonic creatures from entering our world. That's why it was built, which is
Oh,
crazy.
God. It's like Buffy and the. Isn't
Yeah,
that the Hellmouth?
Hellmouth. Yeah. I
I
was like,
think
what the
there's
heck?
another castle that's built on some weird Hellmouth. Hang on, I'm gonna see if I can find out. That's creepy as fuck.
Right? Like they just find this hole reportedly and are just like, let's build a like stone, and they have like certain walls that they're like, yeah, the demons can penetrate one set of walls, but they can't penetrate like another set of walls. So the yeah, it's like weird, the construction and everything. Yeah.
Ugh. I don't like it. It's
Mm-hmm.
scary.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
real,
I don't know.
real creepy. Um, yeah, so it's supposed to stop these demonic creatures from entering our world, and any demons that are said to leave the hole are then trapped in the walls of the lower level. It's like the basement. They're trapped in the basement and they can't get out. Um,
Oh.
yeah, before the hole was sealed off, nearby prisoners were granted pardons if they would allow themselves to be slowly lowered into the hole by a rope, and then they were to report back what they saw. This this
No.
plan went very poorly because when the first prisoner was lowered, he started screaming after only a few seconds. And as the story goes, when they raised him back up, he appeared to have aged 30 years. His face had grown deep wrinkles and his hair had turned like ghastly white.
It's a portal through time space.
Right? So creepy. Um
Damn.
yeah.
What
One
the
source.
fuck? That's like a horror movie.
Yeah. As above, so below. Uh One source states that locals believed that the Nazis had believed that they were using. I wrote the sentence.
Did you?
They believed in the belief that the Nazis were using the powers of hell during their experiments. So that's why they were doing these supposed occult experiments there, because they thought they were harnessing the power of hell through the hellhole.
The
Um,
hellhole.
the hellhole.
Gross.
Yeah. At one
So
time,
there's no way to know if it's real. Like they're just claiming there's this large hole.
no, there is there's a picture of the hole even. Um,
Oh. Okay.
oh shoot, I didn't save. Oh, there just has the
Oh,
church thing, and then there's kind of like an open courtyard in the middle. Sorry,
yeah.
there wasn't great pictures of the hole, but if you Google it, there is a picture of what I think is the hole.
Oh, okay. Well, it's almost
Yeah,
like the aerial view of the castle is like the middle, like a
that's
big
what.
tall roof, and then there's a
Yeah,
hole, like a
that's what
deep
I
hole that
kept.
must be a courtyard or
Yeah,
something.
that's what I kept thinking, and I was like, oh, it's just like in the center, but
Right.
it that actually the courtyard bottom has like it's filled in. It just has like a little square of stone in the middle of it. I assume
Yeah,
that's
okay.
supposed to be like the floor above the hole.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it just has like a picture of basically it looks like a stone well that just keeps going down and down and down and down. Um
Okay, yeah. I see
but
that one. Yeah, because it is, yeah, like a
yeah.
well, like with stone or bricks or whatever.
Yeah, it's not great pictures, but
Ugh.
there are pictures, I assume, that like of another creepy hole, but that's just the one you use to get into the basement, which is creepy enough.
No, it
Yeah,
is. It's ugh.
yeah.
Okay. It's like a
Um,
little, you gotta crawl through it. Reminds me of
yeah.
the Candyman. They crawl through holes
Uh,
and
yeah, through
mirrors and
like
stuff.
your vanity in the kitchen and stuff.
Yes, I heard a podcast where they were telling a story that was like the one of the inspirations for that movie because it was a case where somebody came through the fucking
No!
yeah. It was
Ah!
like like an apartment or a duplex or whatever. So there really wasn't much between their freaking vanities and the next person's whatever. So they
Oh
like
my
made a whole.
god.
Oh, I know. It's the people out there are insane.
I know I listened to a Crimes and Consequences episode where these two were over a bunch of disputes because they were trying to rejuvenate the neighborhood. And it was kind of like row houses or
Oh, okay.
stuff like that, where like you're sharing walls with like a bunch of people, but you still
Yeah.
have separate entrances and everything like that. It's not an apartment.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and she had done all this work on hers, and then this guy next door had bought the one that had been unoccupied for a couple of years, and he was all gung-ho that he was going to renovate it. So everybody in the neighborhood was super excited because, like, finally the last one's going to get renovated. And he basically tore it
Oh.
all apart and then was like, started doing the work himself, but he was really shitty at it and he ended up just making it worse. And then he basically abandoned it, and they were trying to sue him to force him to work on it because of the, like, demolition he had done. It was leaking water into her place when it rained and
Oh
all this stuff.
no.
So he got really mad, and he, in the basement between the two places, in the one day during the night, he busted through the basement wall and then, like, went upstairs into a room and killed her.
Oh my
And it was like,
god.
what the fuck? Just because you don't want to finish your fucking home renovation, she's suing you in court, you need to kill her? It was like, oh my god, he killed her the night before both of them were supposed to appear in court. It's like, what the fuck?
Ugh.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
like,
okay.
ugh.
So you're afraid of court, so now you're gonna go to
Yeah.
prison. Good job, buddy. You
Right?
did
Yeah.
it.
Have fun in prison.
You win
Ugh.
at life. Oh my
Yeah.
god. It's so fucked up the reasons though that people
Right?
will kill
Yeah.
someone else. Why?
All right, so my last bit. So you may think, has anything ever crawled out of the hole? Well,
Oh, I didn't want to.
right?
I try not to think about things crawling out of holes.
This is full on, like, I picture The Descent, the movie Descent, and the, like, weird fucking,
Oh, where they go in the cave and there's
yeah,
creepy creatures, yeah, that rip them apart. Yep, that's a scary one.
because it is reported that at one time animal human hybrids were reported to have crawled out of the hole, as well as dark winged otherworldly creatures that flew out and then were, like, circling it or in its vicinity. So
Oh
creepy.
my god. So now it has
Um,
cryptids too. We don't know.
yeah. According to Wikipedia, this little part said the pit in the lower levels of the castle is said to be a gateway to hell. Thus, by constructing the Gothic building's defensive walls, so that's, like, basically the outer of the actual building and how it has that courtyard, this is a defensive wall.
Mm-hmm.
Because the defensive walls are also facing inwards, they are able to keep the demons trapped in the lower levels' thickest walls that are closest to the hole, like in the castle. So it's like the second
Oh.
layer. So instead of just it trapping them and then you have just the outside walls, they have to get through basically the an outside and then an outside wall again. Yeah.
It's a demon cage.
Yeah. Um
That's good. Where are Sam and Dean Winchester?
Yeah, I
Like
was just gonna
where the
say it's very supernatural.
yeah. And as
Yeah.
we learned in the later seasons, they apparently have factions all over the world of the
Yeah.
men of letters, like the British ones, and like
Yeah. I never got
where the
that far. I stopped
Winchesters.
watching after, I think specifically the last season I ever watched was when all of the angels fell from the sky in season 9. That was like the exact last episode I ever watched.
That's pretty far.
Yeah.
Most shows, lots of shows, end at 9.
I was trying to do a rewatch one time and I think I had, oh, in my rewatch I think I had got to, like, season 6 or 7 and then it bumped off of Netflix. It wasn't on Netflix anymore and I was like, "Damn it."
Oh yeah,
Because I was trying to
yeah.
rewatch up to 9 and then I was going to keep watching, and then they removed it and I was like, "Well, fuck
Okay.
that." Like, yeah.
I'm sure we have them somewhere. I could
Yeah.
probably do a rewatch. I could get into the rewatch podcast too with the two
Uh,
characters there. Yeah, because they're pretty funny. I've listened to a few episodes. It's one that I
okay.
might get into. Yeah, yeah. You know me. I like the behind the scenes. That's why you got
Yeah,
me the behind the scenes book.
exactly. Um so for some, oh, these are like, uh, oh yeah, these are some of the ghost stories and some other creepy things at the castle. It is open to tours and has been since 1999, open to the public, and it's currently owned by one of the descendants of Josef Simonek, the president of the Skoda company,
Damn.
which I
So you can
had
go
looked up.
see it.
Yeah, you can go visit
Wow.
there. I think you can even go see the hole. Don't push
You gotta
anybody
go see the
inside of it.
hole
Yeah. Go see the whole
and
to
take a
hell.
picture of it. Put your cell phone way over the side, hold it loosely, and snap a pic because that's what
Just
everybody else
chuck it
would do.
down there. See if you can chuck a glow stick down there. No. Um Ooh, they need to fly a drone. They need to fly a drone down the hole.
Oh
Mm.
my God, get the Rick and Marty's team on it from Oak Island, and they'll have
Mm.
it drilled out and mapped out, and yeah,
Yeah.
droned.
Um, yeah, so tourists can visit the chapel, because it has like a little chapel church kind of thing that's filled with these beautiful fading murals. Um, but the like things drawn in the murals aren't beautiful. They're well
Oh,
drawn, but they're like demon-like figures and then animal-like beings. It's all these weird things drawn on the walls.
interesting.
Yeah.
I really
Um,
wonder what went on there in the past.
right? According to the Prague tourism website, the castle is reputed to have various types of ghosts that include a bullfrog slash human creature, a headless horse, and an old woman, as well as the remains of demonic beasts that have escaped the pit. Um,
I'm sorry, what? A bullfrog?
yeah, bullfrog human creature, which sounds
Okay.
interesting. Uh, yeah,
That is so weird. I was not
right?
expecting that.
Yeah, it's so weird. Um,
I'm starting to think
yeah.
we're in Gravity Falls. Because there was an episode where they had a freaking bottomless pit that was like marked in the woods with like a little staked sign that said bottomless pit.
Oh my
And
god,
their
they
whole
should have
episode, they're
built
like
something over it.
falling in it, and they're like telling stories, and then it's almost like that in that Marvel, well, whatever fucking Marvel movie it is, where Loki gets
Oh, and he's
zapped back, and he's like,
falling and
"I've
falling.
been falling for 30 minutes."
Yeah.
I love
Um, yeah, so this location was also investigated on an episode of Ghost Hunters International, which aired
that.
in
Oh,
2009. And it was also investigated by Most Haunted Live, who visited the castle in
okay.
2010. I think that was like a YouTube one. It's like a YouTube live stream thing or something.
Oh,
Yeah.
those
Um,
YouTubers, they'll go anywhere.
hmm
They're like, Suicide Forest? Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it'd be cool to tour any one of these places.
Oh,
I want to
yeah.
see the Hell Pit. Um,
The Hell Pit.
dun, 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 the Hell Pit.
I thought there was another one that was supposedly built on some mouth hole hell. I couldn't find it,
I
but there
don't
was
know.
one I heard about that may or may not be an urban legend about a bottomless pit near Ellensburg, Washington. I remember I heard about that one on the P&W Haunts and Homicides. There was a lot of
Oh.
hole jokes. It was very cryptic. Like sometimes there was coins that were found near the hole that were from like a different time. It was very weird. There was a
Oh.
lot to it actually.
It could be the
It was
bottom of a
weird.
wishing well that comes out the other side.
What? That'd be so crazy.
Right? Goes through the
It's
whole
clear.
universe, like the whole earth, and when you throw a coin in for good luck, it just whoop all the way out, and then it just whoop onto the ledge of the other side.
Mean. It's clearly a portal to somewhere.
Yeah, crazy. We will, we will be back for more. We're going to Scotland next.
Oh, woohoo! I didn't know if that was the end of that one.
Yeah,
We reached the bottom of the bottomless hole.
yeah.
We'll see you in a second.
Hey, creepy people! This is P&W Haunts and Homicides. I'm Caitlin.
And I'm Cassie.
Together, we explore stories of the paranormal and true crime throughout the Pacific Northwest. For each episode, we do a tarot reading to help us gain some insight on the topic as we share the facts of the case and our interpretations. You can find our episodes featuring true stories from infamous cases such as the misdeeds of Boeing, as well as lesser-known true crime cases like the murders in Tunnel 13.
As well as our spooky stories from Pike Place and Raven's Manor on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you'd like to listen. Have a creepy ass day.
And we're back. You probably just heard a promo from our friends over at P&W Haunts and Homicides, who got to try the Bat Squatch beer. So they're cool chickies too. Go check them out.
I still want to try that. Yeah.
I know.
Can get a hold of it.
Does it taste like a Bat Squatch?
Oh, I hope not.
Right? Well, and that's just it. Sometimes things are like, you buy it for the pretty label and you're like, it's kind of just like a normal. Like when they came out with the Game of Thrones Chardonnay, and then they had like White Walker whiskey, and like I kind of wanted to buy some of the whatever it was, White Walker whiskey, because like Pat drinks whiskey and scotch, but it was expensive.
Yeah.
So I didn't. Never did it. All right. You can look at on the drive anything about the first castle is going to be called Blackness Castle.
Blackness. Okay.
Blackness. Which
I scrolled down too far and saw Bree and Roger, JPEG.
No. Yep. I guess you should know. I should have known, picking castles in Scotland, that they'd probably film some Outlander there.
Okay.
But I didn't realize when I picked this one, actually. It had a cool name, and there was two of them that were kind of almost across the way from each other, because it said they were both on the Firth of Forth.
The Firth of Forth?
Isn't that fun to say? And they're both on the water on this Firth, this estuary. We'll get into it.
Oh, okay.
But that's why I picked them. I was telling Kelsey there was lists of numerous haunted Scottish castles. I just thought maybe the Edinburgh one would be on there, but they've got so many. We love you, Scotland. You guys, the UK's got all the haunted castles, but there's only like sometimes, one or two like real hauntings or sightings to talk about, so it's like you kind of have to pick like a couple. But this it's cool. I liked how yours had the nickname of like the egret or whatever.
Yeah, the White Egret Castle.
Oh yeah, because I'm like, I love a fun nickname. And this one also kind of has a fun nickname. They said it's often called the ship that never sailed.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Okay.
In some of the pictures, I do definitely see it, but it's said to resemble a ship a little bit.
Is that the one building there? Kind of right at the edge of it?
Yeah. One of the buildings is very
I can see that.
long triangle shape. Yeah. So it kind of looks like it's got a bow and a stern, and in the sense that it's long and triangular, and then it's like right on the water. So in some pictures it really does. I'm like, oh yeah, like especially against the backdrop of the water and the sky, like it just and when the sun sets, it kind of just looks like it's gonna sail out into the ocean.
Yeah, it definitely looks like it would go through. Yeah, it looks pretty cool.
I had a quote: "From the seaward side, it looks just like a great stone ship run aground. Its pointed stem projects into the water, while the square stern stands beached on dry land." My BBC voice. David Attenborough. No. They're always built around the same time. This one's built in the 1440s by the powerful is it Crichton? Yeah, like the author Michael Crichton or whatever. The powerful Crichton family. It sits on the Firth of Forth. And a firth, if you weren't quite sure and just liked saying it like I did, looked it up, is an estuary, which is a place like a partially enclosed body of water with more than one or more than one. Sorry, I think I had that a little bit too many times. A firth is an estuary, which is a place or partially enclosed body of water with more than one rivers or streams flowing into it with a connection to the open sea. Yeah, so it's like a transition zone between a river environment and like a marine or ocean environment. Shit ton of waters coming together. That's all I'll remember. So, of course, it's got a long history. It was used as a state prison, and it was strengthened, they said, in the mid-16th century. Yeah, not sure. State prison? Why they use the term state, but... Many noblemen were imprisoned here, including many Covenanters or religious dissidents, it said. There also might be called. Which I guess is a dissident, someone who opposes official policies. So I guess they weren't hanging with the official religion of the country at the time or whatever. This was called the killing time, referring to the 1670s and 80s. Yeah. Isn't that fun?
Time. What a great nickname.
It kind of sounds like a mini series because I watched The Killing and that was really good.
Yeah, I liked The Killing.
I put the only Boy Georges of this time were little kids who were destined to die young or be king in the 1680s. We were watching The Wedding Singer. Isn't that a great movie? Pat put it on. I was like, but why? And then I was like, oh yeah, this is a good movie.
I don't think I've ever seen that one, so.
What the hell? What's wrong with y'all? Well, no, because actually, I think because he said that they're all going to do one together. Him, Jennifer Aniston, Drew Barrymore, because he's done a couple of films with both of them.
That'd be nice, yeah.
Like 50 First Dates, Wedding Singer, and Blended. He's done with Drew Barrymore, and then with Jennifer Aniston, they did the murder mystery one on Netflix, which was really good. They're doing.
They have the second one's on my list to come out. Oh, I don't know. Depending on the movie, I don't mind him, but I don't know. Some of his movies I will never watch, but
some of them aren't that good.
No, I think it was just too many times maybe watching like Happy Gilmore when I was a kid, which I do like Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
And stuff like that, but the ones where he's, I don't know, pretending to be like mentally handicapped or be an idiot and stuff like that, I'm like, no, it's not really
a sister of himself. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true. It's
forgot about those. Yeah.
It's the ones he did once he got the money from the ones that were hits. And he was like, I can do anything. I'll do Don't Mess with the Zohan, where I'm a weird hairdresser.
I did watch that, sadly. Wish I could take that time back in my life.
But The Wedding Singer, anyway, it's good. When he sings the song to her in the plane at the end, it always makes me cry. Okay, where was Jesus? Oh, Boy George, that's right. I left off at Boy George. The 18th century saw many prisoners of war incarcerated at the castle from the various conflicts with the French, Spanish, and the Americans. Notice it's never the Canadians.
Yeah.
But we do atrocious things too, just to our own people, okay? We keep it in the family.
Yeah.
So they had a famous prisoner. He was an archbishop, of St. Andrews named David Beaton. But the less fortunate prisoners would be placed inside the North Tower in what was called the Pit Prison. And there, high tides would flood the pit several times a day.
Oh my god.
I know. I tried to get a picture. I saw some pretty good pictures on some of the websites, but I don't know if I really got a good picture of that on there, because you're just like, what? And then, yeah, I don't know. I can just see everything getting like the seaweed on it and everything as it goes out through the bars.
Gross.
Yeah, I'm like, how did that work? In 1870, Blackness became Scotland's main munitions depot. So they had a lot of guns there or whatever. all the weapons. All the ammunition. And at that time, it was then that, quote, a cast iron pier was built, complete with a gate, a drawbridge, and a powerful winch in order to deliver barrels of gunpowder and other munitions by boat. So it got pimped out a bit.
That's that thing that extends really long into the water. Then it's the pier.
I was just thinking a cast iron pier. How much must that fucking weigh?
Yeah.
So heavy. Like that video where it looks like a regular lawn chair is sitting there and it looks like it's plastic and there's like a hurricane going around. And everyone's like, how come that isn't going anywhere? And then someone's like, because it's cast iron. It's just painted white.
Oh, jeez.
Looks weird though. Yeah, and it also had something called a caponnier, I guess, which was an innovation of artillery for the time. It's a passage within the external wall of the entrance that would allow the castle defenders to fire into the entrance area just in case any of the invaders made it past the castle gate. So, similar to yours, it's like an area for defending and
yeah,
and shit.
That's cool.
Yeah, I thought so, because it also said it's one of only 3 surviving campaniers in Scotland, and the other 2 are in Stirling Castle and Craignithon. Definitely only said that out loud for the first time just then. It looks like the name Craig, and then the letter N, and then the name Ethan. Like, Craig and Ethan?
Craig and Ethan.
It's probably not it. Oh, fun fact, the North Tower has a water gate. Everything's a gate nowadays. And they were protected on the land side by the stern tower, which kind of makes it sound like it should have like a frowny face on it.
Yeah. This tower is mean.
You can visit the castle and grounds nowadays. You can go up and look out on the amazing views of the Forth Bridges. And the castle sits on the Port of Blackness, which I was like kind of wondering where it got the name Blackness from. So it sits on the Port of Blackness, which served the royal burgh of Linlithgow. Linlithgow was one of the main residents of the Scottish monarch, I guess. So my favorite fun fact that I found out, they used it as a stand-in for Fort William in season 1, episode 16 of Outlander, called To Ransom a Man's Soul. And yeah, I don't know why, if they have the real, whatever. They film it all in Scotland, and the real Fort William is a town in the western Scottish Highlands, known as the Gateway to Ben Nevis, which is the highest peak in the United Kingdom. But they didn't film it there. They filmed it here.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. You're already in Scotland.
Yeah. They do it, yeah. You know, they do what they do. They film in Calgary and they tell you it's fucking LA or Colorado or whatever the fuck. But yeah, it is kind of weird. they both seem like they might be difficult to film there, especially this one has this tide going in and out
Yeah.
around the castle. um, so yeah, they did a scene there where Jamie was famously whipped by Blackjack Randall, while Jamie's dad died watching him be whipped while saying "nay nay."
Nay, nay.
Watch me whip. You say "nay nay," but they do. The Scots, they kind of say "nay nay," instead of like "no no."
I guess.
I'll see myself out. Okay. They actually had to close it for the filming part for 2 months. Not only for the acting parts, but also to fully replace modern features like the metal railings with 18th century wooden railings. So they
Okay.
ripped them
It's
out.
like,
Yeah,
why would it take 2 months to
I
film
know.
like 2
Yeah.
scenes there?
Exactly. And then I'm like, they fucking ripped out the railings. Holy shit. And they constructed the pillory for him to be whipped upon. And finally, in the episode The Reckoning, Jamie and Claire supposedly leap to their freedom from from quote unquote Fort William, by jumping into the sea to escape the fort. But if it was low tide at the real Blackness Castle, they would have just broken their legs on the bare beach.
Oh shit.
There's only water there sometimes. I thought that was funny. That's why there's a picture of Brie and Roger, and where he was whipped, and you can see it all. You're
Yeah.
like, oh, okay. Actually, I think when Brie and Roger were there, it's supposed to be they went somewhere to the Highland Games in like the Carolinas. They just say anything's anywhere. I tell you.
I can't remember.
That's probably supposed to be America. So okay, so yes, is this hulking stone giant sticking out of its black jagged rocks like super haunted? I mean, of course. Got a few ghosts. They've got some noisy ghosts.
Oh.
It's mostly noises here. A group of ghost enthusiasts, as the one article said, supposedly persuaded a custodian into an overnight stay there. They heard furniture being dragged and banged around all night long, like on the floor above them. They probably regretted wanting to stay there.
Yeah, I would not want to stay in any of these places overnight.
Not the kind of castle stay I'm looking for.
Yeah, no thanks.
All right. There's a central tower, which is also called the prison tower. So that has an oppressive feeling that'll probably follow you up that winding staircase, I'd imagine. In the 90s, a visitor was startled to see a knight in full suit of armor in the central tower, just walking around, clank, clank.
Yeah, wow.
Objects are often heard on the floors above or below. And most recently, even the Outlander obsessed having started visiting and having some experiences. Those crazy people. And get her say with a straight face. In summer of 2015, Catriona, it's the same as the Claire actress's first name, so I can't remember if it's really pronounced. Cat, whatever. Stevenson of Sláinte, Scotland tours brought an American guest to Blackness. It was a bit before the Jamie and Claire freaks started making their way in droves to the castle. So it was deserted. Just them and two other people, like a different couple of people wandering around. And Kat said, as we were in the central tower, we started hearing noises from the room above us. Thumping or maybe footsteps, as if someone was walking around and enjoying a visit. We were on the 3rd floor, in brackets. I joked and said that no one could be up here. However, the noises were obvious thumps along with the dragging sound. We went to the next floor, and yes, no one was there. No noises at this point, so I said whomever was there must have gone up to the roof. As we walked up the stairs to the roof, no one passed us coming down, and I saw from the top the other visiting guests were still quite a distance away in the north tower, so it could not have been them.
Creepy.
So, yeah, it is creepy. I thought there must have been someone else here, and we missed them going down while we were still in the room. On the way down, as soon as we passed the fourth floor room, the noises started again. That is when my guest said, "Let's get out of here," and we did.
Yeah. No thanks. Goodbye.
Yeah, and on the website that one was on, which it was a tour by Sláinte, Scotland, but I think it was on one of my other sources for, I think it was on the Outlander cast out locations website, which I was like, I can't believe I'm putting these in my actual notes. These are amazing sources. It had a little video of them, like they were recording themselves kind of walking through, and then it was quiet other than their footsteps, and then they're like at the 50-second mark, listen, and you could hear a thump or whatever. It was kind of creepy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like little video evidence.
Yeah.
And she said that that tour guides had many similar situations happen over the years after that, even though now it's all louder because of Outlander obsessive people.
Yeah.
And
gosh.
Fuck them. And that's
you said that, not me. You said fuck them.
My Outlander peeps will understand. The next one's called the Tantalon Castle. It's kind of a fun name to say.
Yeah.
Tantalon. No. And I'm going to start out with this descriptive quote that I came across. Tantalon vast, broad, massive, high, and stretching far, and held impregnable in war. On a projecting rock they rose, and round three sides the ocean flows. The fourth did battled walls enclose, and double mound and fosse. By narrow drawbridge, outworks strong, through studded gates and entrance long, to the main court they cross. It was a wide and stately square, around were lodgings fit and fair, and towers of various form, which on the court projected far, and broke its lines quadrangular.
Quadrangular. That's fun.
Sorry, I forgot about that. Here was square keep, their turret high, or pinnacle that sought the sky, whence off the warder could descry the gathering ocean storm. So it was this very flowery description. I thought it was a poem, but they said it was a something. It was a description by a Scot in a Marian Canto V or the fifth. So I was like, what? Okay.
It's like, it sounds very Shakespearean.
It does.
Sounds like it's an iambic pentameter. Whatever.
Ooh, one of those, probably. It's all very like, ode to the sky.
Yeah, just like the broken up language of like, you read the sentence in this like format of like how it flows and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like Shakespeare, but
you hate silent letters. So this one was also built in the 14th century. They're less sure of the exact date, like the other one of mine. But it's in a shire. The ruins stand on the east coast of Haddingtonshire.
Haddingtonshire.
Paddington the bear. And it's 3-ish miles from Berwick, possibly North Berwick. I think I saw that once. One of the Berwicks. And yeah, the exact date was unknown of its building, and it was eventually given by the king to the Archibald Douglas, the 5th Earl of Douglas in 1479. So that's how it came into the Douglas's hand. And he had a nickname, and it was random, and it was Belle the cat.
What? Okay.
Don't
Belle
know.
the cat.
I might have to go into my own personal rabbit hole to find out why the fuck he was called Belle the cat when his name is Archibald Douglas.
Oh my god.
History's
That's
weird, y'all.
so weird.
I know.
Belle the cat.
Belle the cat. Maybe he's cat-like. I don't know. Maybe he
Yeah.
sleeps a lot. Maybe he's an asshole who sleeps a lot and then coughs up hairballs on your floor.
Like, I can feel like saying something like, "You need to bell that cat." It would be like, "You need to put a collar on that cat," because like you can't hear them coming. And bell the cat
is confusing.
Yeah, it's weird.
They fought over the castle occasionally after that, but I guess mostly it stayed with these red Douglases. I think we might have talked about black Douglases in the Scottish one.
Yeah. So when you're like, by Douglas, I was like, the black?
No, they're probably the red because they kill a lot. Or they have red hair. One of the two.
It's like, I forgot, it's the killing time.
Yeah, that's a creepy name. It occupied a notable... Oh, God. I'm trying to do my
Noticeably?
It, quote, occupied a noticeable promontory at the mouth of the Firth of Forth, and has been adequately protected on three sides by its position on an elevated peninsula formed by precipitous rocks which rise from the water. So it's like, it's also cliff. It's on a cliff.
Yeah.
Like
It's got cliff on three sides.
Yeah, like your Japan one, right? That one was on kind of a cliff. Most of yours were pretty high.
Yeah, it was like a kind of mountainy looking thing it was on top of. I don't know how steep it is or hard to get at.
It's gonna be hard to build shit up there. They're just like digging out of the cliff or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, so because of the cliff that this one sits on, and then that's all facing the water, it only needs to fortify the land facing side, so to speak.
Yeah, it's a good position.
Oh yeah. You can see people coming from the water, from the land, whatever. So they fortified it. They added a deep ditch cut into the rock, and they put up like 50-foot tall, 12-foot thick walls.
Jeez.
Shit thick. And I don't really understand the description of the, like, inside the walls was a large courtyard. Sounded like it was kind of ringed by another deep ditch, and then there was an elevated mound. So I was like, okay.
Weird.
He's like, yeah, I was having a hard time picturing that and couldn't find a picture of that, but that's okay. And then the path kind of like, it was very easy to see people coming from afar. Like, it wasn't maze-like, but I guess it was very winding and exposed, so you could definitely see people coming from a mile away and probably pick them off with your little crossbow or arrow or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a slim chance of getting up to it unseen and practically impregnable, like it said in the little soliloquy. But throughout the years, they saw their share of those Covenanters also imprisoned here. Many were even held in the dungeon on the, I'm guessing it's Bass Rock, like the fish. Because why would it be bass rock? Like the guitar,
I don't know. Either way sounds weird.
There is a picture of how it's just out in the sea behind it a little bit. It juts out onto the sea by Tantalon, and they even made up a little marching chant when an attack was set to take the castle after Edinburgh Castle had been taken one time, and it went, I don't know, it's Scots. Ding, doon, tantalon, mac, make a brig to the bass.
Catchy.
I tried.
It's so catchy.
Very. They're drunk, they're marching, leave them alone. The Highlanders were very good at infiltrating shit. They're like, we'll climb up that fucking cliff face, okay. They're crazy. Yeah. But anyway. And then I wasn't sure. It said that they accomplished the first part of their plan and they were trying to get the prisoners out of the prison on the Bass Rock. So whether they did that or not, I'm not sure. But then they apparently just started tearing down like the castle walls, like all the stones and shit.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that marked the beginning of the end for the castle, and then it was later finished off by a Cromwell guy that I may or may not have mentioned. There was a lot of history on it, and I wrote down more than I included. But it's ruined now and irreparable, so it's just these craggy, ruins on the Firth.
On the Firth of Forth.
The Colin Firth of Forth. No. So the first thing that pops up when I started searching for specific hauntings at the castle was a clickbaity sort of title that was something like the world's most convincing haunted photo taken at Tantalon Castle near North Berwick and East Lothian. And I was like, okay. And so it shows like a figure in an old-timey Elizabethan collar, like a ruff. We talked about the ruffles. Yeah. And it was taken by a Chris Atchison, and he said that he was not aware that anyone was in the photo when he took it. Do you want to see it?
Yeah.
I've had to put it in a different folder so you wouldn't look before.
Okay. Smart.
I think I put it in something called Ghosts or Creepy Ghosts, Creepy Castle Ghosts. That's what I call it.
Okay.
So it kind of looks like he's behind a window with bars on it almost.
Oh, I see.
There's a couple different pictures and versions, I guess. Kind of like, yeah, to me, I can see what they mean by the rough, and I would, it's almost like if you see like a clown or like the jigsaw freaking guy or something, like, I don't know.
Yeah,
it looks like a face.
Weird.
Yeah. So it's interesting. Like, I'm glad that there's a picture, and we'll share it like on the website and stuff, and you guys can decide whether it's the best proof or whatever.
I mean, the zoomed in one, it's enough. You can, like, without me physically zooming it in even more, I can see enough facial features to tell it's a face, like eyes and a nose and a mouth.
Yeah. And if there wasn't anyone in the picture when he took it, like you said, then probably a ghost.
Yeah, it's kind of creepy.
Yeah, it doesn't convince everybody, but they haven't detected any digital alterations, and it's not like they use any reenactors or anything there.
Mm-hmm.
But I ran across skeptics saying that it was a woman with a handbag, but that came up with the second picture too, so I was just like, who are these skeptics? Although I think I might have who one of the skeptics are, because there's like a skeptic society.
Yeah.
So
the
stupid.
Anti-conspiracy.
Yeah.
The Skeptic Society.
Yeah, they're not QAnon, I was gonna say A-anon, but that just sounds like Alcoholics Anonymous. There's Z-anon, I don't know. Okay, so that picture made the rounds and got pretty famous around there. And a second person came forward after hearing about it and seeing that photo, and her name was Grace Lamb, and that one was apparently taken over 30 years ago. And this picture was she sent it into a Professor Wiseman, A wise guy, eh? No. Who is collecting and studying any photo evidence he can find about the castle haunting.
Yeah.
And this one I didn't know that you could find the picture online, but then I found it when I was putting the other one up there. And sorry, it's the picture of her husband and their two kids. So it's like a guy, two little kids in front of the castle in a window. And there's a
Yeah,
picture.
that one's a bit harder to see.
Yeah,
Like
there's
you can
apparently a
definitely
figure in the
see.
background.
Yeah, you can tell there's something behind them for sure. But
Yeah, in the window.
yeah, the head part from like the shoulders up of the figure just kind of look like a smear of red. Like,
Yeah, I think this was like it was taken over 30 years ago. It could have been like the
mhm.
60s. So yeah, I think the
Yeah.
cameras weren't as good also. Um
Mhm.
but still when I was reading about it, I hadn't actually looked because it didn't I don't know. I didn't for some reason didn't think that picture was online, but then it was.
Yeah, either way it's
um
creepy cuz both of them, especially
yeah.
the one where like if you're standing there on a group tour and somebody's taking a picture, you probably don't want to stand directly in the picture, so you're probably gonna move out of the way. But both these pictures are like, yo, I'm photobombing you. Like,
I am in the window. Do you see me
yeah,
now?
yeah, it's just kind
Yeah.
of creepy.
Yeah. Yeah, every horror movie they walk away and there's somebody in the window.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like it when there's something to look at for photo evidence. It's like, yes.
Yeah,
Or even better video. Like that's what I liked about Ghost Hunters and that is like they'll be like, and then something knocked my drink off, and you're like, yeah, there it goes.
yeah, right.
Okay, so here's the skeptic guy. There was Alex Price, chairman of the Edinburgh Skeptics Group. There's a
Fun.
group.
What a
And
fun
there's a
job.
chairman. Yeah, they sound like a fun group that I want to join their treehouse. um, yeah, and again, this quote said he had a very straightforward explanation for the figure in Mrs. Lamb's photo. It is a woman in a pink jacket coming down some stairs with a shopping bag, he said. And that was from the Scotsman website. I was like,
Okay.
okay. Specific. That's what you see. Good for you.
I see like red, but I wouldn't agree that it is like a coat.
Or yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
But
I'm
that
gonna
came
try
up
and
to
zoom
like
in. Zoom in. Oh, I
I
can add a
swear it came
comment.
up
Oh,
both like articles about the two different photos. It was weird.
I'm gonna zoom in
But
as far as I can go. Now I'm just zooming into the guy's face, and it's really creepy.
she wants to believe. I was gonna say, who knows? People just report things and it's not always
Yeah, I don't know. I can't really. I see like a red, and then there's kind of black, and then white under it, and black again.
Yeah, I
Just
can't
kind
make
of
out much
weird.
clothing when I looked at it.
Yeah, just kind of like blobs of color. But enough that there's something there because it doesn't match the color of anything in its
Yeah.
surroundings.
Yeah. Go look at
But
it on our website or on
yeah,
Instagram and freaking give us a comment.
yeah.
um so eventually we'll have to go on a tour, but currently you cannot visit the inside of this castle due to some work going on, so they said precautionary access restrictions while we undertake high-level masonry inspections. So
Ooh, yeah. It's probably pretty dangerous if it was left to crumble for a few hundred years.
yes, this one's a ruin, a ruin. But like by water, I can't imagine how any castle could not be when you're that close. Like the other one has the tide literally lapping up to the bottom of it. Like that's eroding the shit out of it for sure. You
Yeah.
know, I mean it's stone. I guess it's, but still, the barnacles alone. I don't know. So, but the shop and castle grounds are still open, so we could go to that part. Um, and it said, that once you're like allowed to head up on the towers, you can get spectacular views of the Bass Rock and to watch the gannets plunge into the North Sea. So I assume those are birds.
Yeah, it was like animals.
What's a gannet? I don't know. I'd assume a bird. And I loved how the description talked about then descend into the depths of a particularly grim pit prison. So they definitely both had, horrible
Prison.
seawater prison cells.
I just picture it was Game of Thrones, right? That had the open-faced.
The sky cell.
Yeah, that
Where he's up
scared
in
me
the
so much.
tower.
It's so creepy. Like you fall asleep too
Yes.
much and you roll over and you're just gonna roll right out of the cell.
Because there's no wall and there was a slight slant to the floor. Exactly.
Yeah.
That was creepy as fuck.
Yeah. So that's what
Yeah,
I keep
don't like
thinking
that.
of. It's just like,
Oh.
no thanks.
Oh man, some prisons, they are not pretty.
Yeah.
Oh, and also I don't have a picture of it, but there was apparently another picture that caught a possible ghost when these two friends were like toasting in front of the castle with their little glasses, and they were like, they clink and they say slancha, and then afterwards they discover a ghostly third figure, which looked to them to be wearing a Halloween mask, looking out at them from the castle. So like a
creepy.
monster mask of some kind. I know. But I couldn't find pictures of that one, and they said it was kind of shadowy, so hard to say.
Weird.
When I have like half a page of sources. It's crazy. Why? Why is it all so many sources? Because they were all so short.
I had a few sources, yeah, because most of mine was from, I think it was from the original listicle I looked at when we covered castles the first time. And then, because I remember
like,
looking at them and be like,
chestnut.
oh, these ones aren't super haunted, and then I was thinking about covering them, but I
Yeah.
found enough about the other ones that I didn't. And I was like, but I really like, because I'm a sucker for architecture. So I was like, these ones look pretty. I'll cover them.
She's a sucker for a pretty face on a building. That's funny.
And in a movie.
Castles. Well, they're beautiful. And then there's so much history, and then they're haunted. And you're like, all right, these walls could talk.
Yeah. I think castles are really cool. Like, it's just so historical, and the fact that they're just so old and they've survived so long.
It's like being in an old growth forest versus a Walmart parking lot.
Yeah, forests are beautiful too. I love that.
Your one was right in the forest, the Czech Republic or whatever. That's crazy.
Yeah, that one and the one in Japan looks like it's pretty. Actually, all of them look very surrounded by trees.
True. Yeah. And mine were like at sea.
Yeah.
At Firth. At Firth of Forth. Well, do you remember what we just picked for next week's?
Oh my god.
We're doing something we did on Patreon before that was female centric.
I was like, what? I don't remember.
I know. I'm looking at the list going.
Yeah, I had my tab closed, so I didn't have the list in front of me anymore. We are doing some spies again.
Yes, before we did one on Patreon on female kick-ass, like mostly war spies, like World War spies. And we called it The Spy Who Shooketh Me. And that was really fun.
Yeah, and we actually unintentionally had both done women. And then
that's true.
It was just like, this is our new episode theme. It's women.
I'm probably going to do some badass women spies. Yeah, so
nothing wrong with that. It's
exactly.
Fun.
I mean,
yeah, we'll see what I come with.
Name.
Yeah. Yeah, we already talked about yours when we were choosing the episode topic, so that'd be really cool. I'm excited.
You better stay tuned, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can't wait till then, check us out on Patreon, where we just dropped our candle making mini episode, and
Yeah.
Kelsey looks really cute in the thumbnail. It turned out really well. Because you were doing the first one, and I was just filming you before we started filming both,
Yeah.
and then you just like, anyway. Hi.
And we have a new episode that should be dropping before this episode came out. What was that even about?
Mount Shasta.
Yes. Jeez. Such an idiot. I can't think. I've been off work for 3 days. I have no brain anymore. It's just filled with television.
No, it was fun. Yeah, that one, I'm just about to do the editing on it, so it's, I talked about the secret city of the Lemurians that are supposedly live under there, and then we saw a book about it when we went to that store the next day.
Yeah.
Whatever. I was like, look!
Yeah,
and
that was crazy.
Yeah, you talked about another secret city, or supposed secret city, that was down there, and
yeah, I think it's
the
guy that claimed to have found the Lemurians down there.
Right.
It was the guy Chasey Brown.
And then I talked about a guy who might have been a Lemurian or some sort of. Well, you'll have to tune in to find out.
Yeah.
We'll leave it there. And thank you for listening, and we'll catch you next week.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.
This has been Castles and Cryptids. You can listen to our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Anchor, Breaker, Pocket Cast, and our YouTube channel. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Reddit. On our website, you can listen to all of our episodes as well as view pictures for each of our segments. Check out our Patreon page to view all of our tiers and become a Patreon supporter today to unlock monthly bonus episodes and behind-the-scenes content. We are working on an Ask Us Anything. You can submit questions by social media or by email at castlesandcryptids@gmail.com. Do you have a spooky ghost story, a creepy cryptid sighting, or a thrilling true crime tale you would like to share and have us include in a future episode? Send us your listener story by social media or by email. Please include the name that you would like mentioned. Our music is by Kobe Fair. Our logo and artwork is by Antonio Garcia. Thanks for listening.